Good evening. My name is Jason Carlosio. I'm here from the great state of Connecticut. Here to talk about politics, some of the things that are going on. I'm new to this, so you bear with me. And just doing this from my home. And I'm here to talk about some of the politics, some of the stuff that is going on here in the current events about Joe Biden recently dropping out. And we also talk about current events. We talk about mob history, different things going on. So I like people to bear with me. This is my first time being on here. I've been a blogger. I'm on a Angel Gotti show a lot. She's a great show. I always say, listen to her. She's on a couple of times a week. Listen to her very much. What I like to talk about is just this recent. I'll start out with politics. I think Trump's really got a good chance of winning. I'd recommend here is looking into gold crown politics. That's what is the best one to talk about on here, and really has a good the states that Trump's going to win. Right now, it looks like states that Trump was planning on, they were saying calling swing states. It looks like he's going to win, including Arizona, Georgia. Uh, Looks good for Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. I think it was a stroke of genius to take uh, J.D. Vance. It was a stroke of genius once again on Trump and to defeat those liberals in Washington, but he has to win the West. That upper Midwest, what used to be considered the blue wall. You need to win the states of uh, Pittsburgh, Michigan, Wisconsin to win. He has to win that blue wall, get those states. Um, and I think that's a good choice of his. But right now, the way I look, Trump has a good chance of winning New York State. This is what they've been saying. That New York State, Kamala Harris, she's only up by what? Couple 2 points at the most. Right now, Trump's ahead in New Jersey. He's ahead in Virginia, Minnesota. He's ahead in Maine, New Hampshire, all those states. I've even read he's got a good chance in New Mexico, good chance of winning Colorado, Illinois, all those states that typically are traditionally blue. He has a good chance of winning. But I think the Republicans can't be complacent. They have to make sure we have to get out the vote. And that's very important. But the key is the under ticket. The good part about having Trump being as strong as he is, it's that under ticket that to win. The Republicans have to they have to make gains in the House and have to take back the Senate, which I see them in doing. I do see that happening. But Kamala Harris is not any better than Joe Biden. She's less of a candidate than Joe Biden. So the Democrats are happy. Oh, the liberal media. But I just don't see where she's any better of a candidate. She's far left. She's a San Francisco liberal. And how about the innocent people she put in jail, and which is wrong. Got to talk about that. She's pro-criminal, and that's very bad. And she's a typical elitist, San Francisco elitist. See, Joe Biden may have had a chance because he was from Scranton, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania considered a Midwestern state, if you want to say a blue collar state, a lot of energy. So you might say that, he could associate with the blue collar guy. But Kamala Harris, I just don't see how she could associate with the blue collar person when she's from San Francisco, the elitist. So, I don't see where she's any better of a candidate. But I have this theory that this is Kamala Harris. When in the primary, she didn't even make it to Iowa. She dropped out. And she had, 20,000 people go? And when she announced, and then she dropped out clearly. So what I say is she dropped out soon after that. She flames out. She has a history of doing this. In the media, they're going to make her, she's the next coming, like Ted Cruz said, Mother Teresa, Oprah Winfrey. They're making her like the best thing since sliced bread. Obviously, the conservatives could see through that, and Trump will see that. And I want to see a debate between the two of them. I think what they're going to do with Harris is what they did with Biden. Go hide, don't speak, let everybody else go out and do the dirty work. Except this time, I don't think the strategy is going to work because I think the Republicans, along with Trump, are ready for that. And I don't see that working, but I think that's a strategy they're going to use. I have another theory that Harris is going to flame out and the Democrats are going to have somebody else ready for at the convention. And I think this convention could be ugly. It's Chicago. It could be just like what was in 1968. That's a strong possibility that this is going to be very ugly. we'll see what happens. But here in a state with Connecticut, contrary to what the polls say, I think Trump has a good chance of winning Connecticut. He has a good chance of winning Fairfield County, I believe, even New Haven County, the Naugatuck Valley, Litchfield. Another thing to keep in mind, too, that Trump, he's at around 25% with the African American vote. He's at over 50% with the Hispanic. So he's got a very good chance. So I don't think those cities that the Democrats used to count on, even like here in Connecticut, they could. I don't think they could say, well, we're going to win this state. We get the vote on the cities. I don't think that's going to work. Because if Trump's going to get those numbers, 25% with the African American, 50% with the Hispanics, Trump wins. There's no doubt about it. And if he could get numbers like that in Connecticut, there's a good chance he's going to carry Connecticut, because Connecticut does have 7 electoral votes. And thank God for the Electoral College that the founding fathers put in that, because they didn't want the big cities, the big states to dominate. So thank God for that. And we'll, hopefully he could take Connecticut, but I think he's really got a good chance of taking New York and doing well even within the city too. I mean, you saw the turnout he had in the Bronx was amazing. How about the turnout in South Jersey and Wildwood? The turnout was excellent there for Trump, and was considered a blue state. But I think New Jersey is going to be a red state this time around. So, I want to encourage people to go out and vote. All the Republicans and conservatives, do not get complacent, because it's not over. It's far from over. You got to pedal to the metal. And I think just watching this convention, people say about Hulk Hogan. How about Steve Scalise? He had a very good speech. Ron DeSantis, too, spoke very well at the convention. And I also think Peter Navarro, who was wrongly imprisoned by the Department of Injustice. So what did he say? He did the time, so you don't have to do it. And that was great. I think he had one of the best speeches there, Peter Navarro. So I really think that the convention was actually probably the best in years, the best since Reagan was president. And you could tell the Republicans are united, which is a good thing. But you have to keep it pedal to the metal. You can't back off. That's for sure. If we back, they're going to come out with all their dirty tricks. The liberal Democrats, the left wing media. We cannot stop. We have to keep this going, no doubt about it. And it's a little late at night. This is my first show. I'm a little rusty, but I plan on coming back on here too with this podcast. My friend Angela Gotti, always tune into her. I want on her blogs very often, and I know her very well. I covered the Gotti trial. Kind of like what they've done to Trump is what they did to John Gotti and John Gotti Jr., put him on trial multiple times. And that's what they did to Trump. They cannot beat this guy. And to me, that needs to be investigated. That was very scary, what happened with the Secret Service about, that was very scary, because innocent people were hurt. An innocent person was killed. And that's very, very sad. And that's something that they have to investigate. And I'm glad the director of the Secret Service did resign, because nobody in Biden's administration gets fired. That's amazing. Trump, you saw a turnover. If somebody didn't do their job, they were gone. Biden, nobody gets fired. Nobody's held accountable for what they do. And the Secret Service needs to be investigated. What went on? How come this guy was pointed out on the roof? How come Secret Service agents were not there? Boy, it sounds like Kennedy book depository. Nobody was there. Nobody went there on there. This what has to be seen. Somebody has to go on. Somebody has to look into it. A full investigation has to be done. And the director of the Secret Service resigned because she knows she was wrong. They screwed up big time. They dropped the ball. Now the Secret Service is basically telling her, don't do outdoor rallies, because they don't want him to do any rallies, because they know he's going to win. This is way the typical Democrats, typical liberals. If they can't beat you, so they change the rules. That's what they did, and that's what they were trying to do for years with Trump. They can't beat him, so let's change the rules. Well, that's not going to happen. It's catching up with him. You go to these rallies, look, thousands and thousands of people, over 100,000 people in Wildwood, New Jersey. Kamala Harris, what did she get? Biden, it's a joke. When Kamala Harris, it was quiet. You could hear a pin drop when she announced. But look at Trump. Look at what he has out there. The amount of people coming. I mean, I've seen him rallies. 2016, the amount of people. It's even more now. The enthusiasm is even more. And I think Trump's going to win probably by the biggest landslide since H.W. Bush in 1988. That's what I'm predicting. I'm predicting he's going to win states that you wouldn't think he would win. And I think New York State's one of them. I think New Jersey. I think there's others. But we have to, again, I can't emphasize, do not be complacent. We need to win. And every vote does count. So keep that in mind. I mean, the liberals don't want that, but every vote counts. And you got to look on the issues. This stands with immigration, with these migrants and these crime coming in. What is Kamala Harris's point at the borders are? She did absolutely nothing. It was a complete failure. She's just been a total failure on that. Like everything else she does, she's been a failure. Failure as a prosecutor, failure as a senator, terrible vice president. What has she done any good? You tell me her accomplishments. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. This was a huge mistake by the Democrats because I think she's worse than Biden and more incompetent than him if that's possible. But just look at the border. Look at the inflation. Look how much things will cost. Crime, too. What's going on. And that's very dangerous. Migrant crime, domestic crime, things of that sort. So that's another issue. How about all these wars? And how about it's a very dangerous world? And these other countries know that we're weak. And even the job market, the only reason why the stock market's done well, because they know Trump's going to win. That's what it is. That's the only reason why they know the stock market has done well. But with the exception of that, I mean, everybody you talked to was doing better. The Trump years were probably the best years this country ever had economically, and in terms of prosperity, in terms of crime was low, the border was sealed, inflation was in check. You tell me what accomplishments the Biden administration has done. The answer is absolutely nothing. He has done absolutely nothing. He is the worst president that this country's ever had. In my opinion, he worse than Carter, if that's possible. But he was terrible as a president. And the only way to save this country is Trump 2024 with Vance. Very good pick, excellent pick. And I think the Republicans have a better future than the Democrats. Don't have a strong future. I mean, they're talking about, some people, who do they have for a bench? You tell me. Gabby Newsom from California, who in California is a mess. It is an absolute mess. Compare that to Texas, Florida. Even New York State's in better shape than California. New York State has its issues, but I think New York State is turning red. New Jersey, they're frustrated with the governor, Phil Murphy. That state's going to turn red, and I think Connecticut's got a good shot, and that's a whole other story, Connecticut. But in the good part, when you have a strong presidential candidate, that means the Republicans got an excellent shot, making gains in the House, taking back the Senate. They'll have the House, the Senate, the presidency, and we have the Supreme Court. We'll control everything. They'll be out of power, which is good, finally. And these liberals have just been a disaster. You tell me what good they have done. Absolutely nothing. So right now, this is my first show. I'm Jason Carlasio. It's just to start out. I will be back here, and this is a first time live. Thank you for listening. And this is me trying it out, seeing how it's going. I will definitely be back listening to me. Tune in. I plan on to do this podcast at least a couple times a week, hopefully more. Tune into my friend Angel Gotti. She's on at night often. Beautiful person, beautiful family. Always in her blogs, talk a lot about this. Politics, current events, things of that sort. So thank you for listening. And I'm going to cut it right now, but I'll be back. Thank you very much.